And we are live.
Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski and Jason Burmis of We Are Change here Sunday, December 23rd, 2018, 7 p.m. Eastern, every single Sunday for our live show. And holy cow, Jason, time flies. It's almost the end of the year. It's almost 2019. And we're here, of course, every Sunday live on Facebook, on Periscope, and the podcast of this episode will be available on iTunes later. But of course, we're going to be talking to all you amazing human beings on YouTube, where we are going to be taking your super chats, which enable us to be free individuals who are able to crap on any existing power structure without trying to cater to it. And because of your super chats, we are going to be prioritizing that and also taking phone calls and engaging with you guys, all, of course, on youtube.com/wearechange. First of all, Jason, holy cow, crazy week, surprising week. I think a lot of people were just extremely, extremely surprised, but also this comes right before the holidays. How's your week? What do you got planned for the holidays? How do you celebrate Christmas and all these other stuff? Or do you celebrate Kwanzaa or Hanukkah? Which one is it, Jason? Or the world is desperate to know.
I grew up as a Christian, so there is no place like home for the holidays. I'm a little Christmas guy. I got my little Santa hat. The kids are in the other room. They're on break. We already got the stockings up after this, and I cut everything up. I'll be wrapping their presents and getting ready for Christmas morning, buddy.
Oh yeah. When do you celebrate? Do you celebrate on like the 25th or the 24th? Because like in
So,
Poland, the
mhm.
big kind of celebration happens tomorrow night, where we have a big dinner. We eat a whole bunch of cold stuff, a whole bunch of purple stuff, mainly fish stuff, a whole bunch of Polish food, and then after eating the Polish food, there's like this little bread paper thing that we give out to each other. We actually break it and each other wishes, and then we exchange gifts together. And if there's kids in the house, there's usually someone paid to dress up as Santa Claus, which I still remember to be utterly terrified of, because I remember my family always telling me, if you're a bad kid, Santa's gonna whoop your ass, and he's gonna come there physically in there. And I remember being utterly just terrified, Jason, of this. Like I think my family once got a homeless man to come in there, huge dude with a stick, screaming at me. I remember hiding as a kid. That's my adolescence. But that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, celebrating on Christmas Eve, just like the traditional kind of Polish way. How do you celebrate it?
We double down. I got a big family, Italian family. So, like, if I have any aunts or uncles that are going to be over at my brother's tomorrow night, I'll be there with my other niece and his wife and the new nephew and all that good stuff. So we'll do like a dinner tomorrow night over at his place, and then tomorrow or Saturday morning is when I'll really spend time with the family, the direct family anyway, and we'll open presents Christmas morning. That's what it's all about. Do you see? I don't know. I know in Europe they have the Krampus. I think maybe you were scared of the Krampus monster because Saint
Krampus? I
Nick.
never heard of the Krampus monster. I remember being told Santa's going to come and he's going to whoop your ass because you were a bad kid. I remember actually believing it and being hiding. Like my parents couldn't find me one Christmas because I hid so well. Because I was so terrified, utterly terrified of getting my ass whooped by this crazy, weird, strange bearded man who always carried a stick. They had the whole lump of coal too, but I never heard of Krampus.
You don't know the
That
Krampus
sounds like
monster, huh? I mean, that's a very
no,
European
no.
thing. Check it out. That's like the really scary. It's almost Halloween esque Krampus. Yeah, he's almost people even the Baphomet kind of like analogies are there. But yeah,
I'm
look up the
googling
Krampus
Krampus right now.
if you've never
It
seen
sounds like
it.
a venereal disease, or sounds like something you get from eating like Mexican food.
But the point is, Christmas has some of the
No,
most.
no, I didn't have that, dude. No, it was an actual Santa, but not that dude looks evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't Google Krampus.
Don't Google the Krampus monster. Well, Krampus is bigger in
No.
Europe, but like I said, some of the best memories I've ever had as a kid were waking up Christmas morning, to the actual Red Ryder BB gun after I saw A Christmas Story for the first time, or my first Nintendo Entertainment Center, all that stuff. That was big for me. So hopefully we can make some of those memories for my sister's kids tomorrow.
I remember catching my parents once because in Poland it's weird. Like we celebrate tomorrow and just give gifts, and if there's a kid, a homeless guy dresses up as Santa and comes in there, scares the crap out of kids. But on the 6th is when we actually kind of experience a smaller kind of Christmas. It's like Saint Nick Day or something, and that's where you kind of have to clean your shoes, leave your shoes out at night, and then sleep. And then when you wake up the next morning, there's like small presents, like a little build up on the 6th of December. Um, and I remember once I caught Santa. I'm like, that's my parents. And I remember just being shocked. But I remember growing up as a kid, totally believing the lie, man, that they spoon fed me the propaganda, disinformation. And I remember being so just upset. Um,
It
that's
starts
how
it
I
starts
found out
young.
that
Yeah.
Santa wasn't real.
Yeah, it starts
And
young.
it's a big realization that you can make many comparisons to what's happening right now in the mainstream media.
I'll tell you, the Main Street. Listen, man, it feels early for Christmas. I know you're going to get into your
Wait, hold
monologue.
on. When
Yeah.
did you wake up? When did you wake up to the fake lies of Santa not being who he said he was?
I grew up tough, bro. Like I'm not that tough. I mean, like we moved
You
around a lot
always
as a
knew
kid.
Santa wasn't real.
I
Don't
wouldn't say
bullcrap me
I
now.
wouldn't say always, but I think by 7 or 8 the gig was up, dude. There wasn't much of a gig, like by 7 or 8. Like I said, times were tough. I moved around a lot as a kid. Parents split up early, kind of got back together. So you heard things in the background, and the older kids would ruin it for you too. I got picked on a lot. On the bus, I ended up fighting with a lot of kids. And, they're the first one, that 10, 11-year-old's the first one to tell you, you're poor, you're not getting anything for Christmas, and Santa's not real. And you're just like,
Yeah, I had a similar thing. We have Avitas, who's one of our members, who's saying right now Santa is as real as jet fuel melting steel beams. So of course, a lot of puns, a lot of things you can make correlations of. But I remember being like, I don't trust what my family's saying. I remember I was like, they're probably lying. There's no way this fat white dude goes around in a sleigh and like eats all these cookies and like leaves presents there. I remember just forcefully making sure I stayed up one night and catching my parents red-handed. And like the good confronter that I am, getting out of bed, be like, "What the hell is this crap? Where's Santa? Like you're putting gifts underneath my shoes." I knew it. I freaking knew it. And my mom being like, no, Santa's taking a break. I'm like, bull, don't lie to me. Stop lying to me. That was one of my first moments of realizations that everything we're told is not always true, Jason. Big
yeah,
realization.
it's tough. I got 2 in the other room, and what are they? They're 9 and 8 now, so they're right around that age where
Do
everything's.
they still believe in Santa?
They do. They do.
Okay, that's not a bad thing.
They do. And I don't know that the older one I think is catching on. I don't think it's going to last through next year, and she'll immediately ruin it for the younger one. I guarantee it.
Now the debate starts. Do you tell your children Santa's real, or do you go with the fantasy to kind of try to give them a better time? Like what do you do in this situation? What's your personal
Well,
analysis?
I'll tell you what, man. I'm late to the game. These really aren't my kids. I'm kind of just raising them the last couple of years. So, first of all, I'd say it's not my decision. It's my sister's.
How are you going to handle this situation though? Because they're going to come to you and be like, "Hey, Uncle Burmy, is Santa real?"
And I'm going to say, talk to your mother.
Talk
to your mother.
No, Uncle, she's not giving us real answers. We want to know the truth from you. You're a truther, Uncle. I watch your YouTubes. Uncle Burmy, tell me, is Santa real or not?
They are so uninterested in my YouTubes and have no idea what I do whatsoever. I just tell them I talk about things that we don't talk about that much around you guys, but that are very important and we'll discuss someday.
What do you tell them?
Honestly, they don't really believe me when there's something going on. Like for instance, I mean, sharing some personal stuff here, but when they moved out here,
or would you not tell them Santa's real?
My kid, I think that he's not. We're gonna tell him that hey, it's more of an allegory, and he's not real. But that doesn't mean the idea of him is bad, and that you won't get more presents if you're a better kid.
You would break the reality. You would break that chart. I can't believe you, Jason. All right, let's go over into some of the super chats of the memberships before we get into the main stories and, of course, all the other important stories from Monday through Saturday. Because personally, Jason, I don't even know how I would handle that situation, to be quite clear and honest with you. But first of all, before we get into all the news and all this other stuff, wanted to thank all the new members. We got one called LCB UK. Thank you so much for becoming a member on this YouTube channel. We got another one called Bridget Sanderson. Thank you so much, Bridget. You're awesome. And another one, Dual Citizen Pepe. Thank you, Dual Citizen Pepe, for becoming a new member of this YouTube channel, which, by the way, we're providing a crap ton of behind-the-scenes content. So if you're a member, don't forget to check into the membership area, not only on YouTube, but also on our website, wearechange.org, /donate/membership/whatever. Just go to WeAreChange.org. You'll see the living the change kind of aspect. I think I did what, 6 videos or 5 videos just this week alone, specifically just for sponsors alone. I forgot, Jason.
I'm pretty sure it's 6. I think that we put 6
Yeah,
out there.
we covered a whole bunch of stuff. Expatting to Colombia, to Poland, to Mexico, all the ins and outs of that. What else did I do? What else was there? Crypto. I did a whole nother video with Josh Sigerson of World Alternative Media about what to do with cryptos and the markets just as they were coming up at the perfect time. So really a lot of insightful information that we shared to all the new members on our website, and of course also our YouTube membership site. Jason, do you want to go over some of these super chats?
Yeah, let's hit him. Jesse Schmidt. By the way, we really thank you, Jesse Schmidt. Always a part of the show. But we really have to, Luke, bring out the video. I forget. Jesse, remind us what week it was that you suggested the GoFundMe wall so we can make a video how the GoFundMe wall was really one of our listeners' ideas. Hey, I don't want to toot our own horns, but tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people check our stuff out on the regular. It has a huge reach. And Jesse, you may actually
been talking about that for like the beginning of the show, like months and months and months and months ago, way before it's actually being realized right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we're on like WeRC or WRC Cast after this 30. That's 30 weeks of it just being available in podcast form. We've been doing this now for quite some time. And Jesse, thank you so much for supporting us. I won free tickets to the Bitcoin conference from Ben Swan. Are you guys going to be there? I know I won't be there, but Luke Rudowski, will you be at the Bitcoin conference?
Is that the one in Miami? I'm not quite sure yet. I'm still in kind of holiday mode. I'm still just in New York, so I don't even know what travel schedule I'm going to have coming up. Most likely, I probably will be at the one in Miami. Still not 100% sure, but I'm definitely going to announce it somewhere on my Facebook or somewhere on my Twitter, and it's all just under Luke WeAreChange. All right, you want to get the next one?
You got it. Avatar's another great member and supporter of the show. Merry Christmas, folks. Well wishes for you and your loved ones. Let's hope the government shutdown lasts past April 15th. A closed IRS is the best IRS. Something nobody's talking about. You know what?
You more. Jason disagrees with you.
Well, I did not say that. Whoa.
You're like a minimalist. You're like, you want some of the government.
Does that mean I need the IRS? Do we need the IRS? Easy, guy. I have never been an endorser.
Do you want the post office? Do you want the roads, Jason?
You can have that without the IRS. They're just an enforcer. That you can have that without the IRS. You can have those things, Luke. We can make sure they get paid. Again, we can print money for war.
Talking about a complete government shutdown here.
Someone
doesn't want a complete government shutdown here. Someone here wants a complete government shutdown. Mm-hmm. Someone over there does not want a complete government shutdown.
This is, as you'll get into and we'll get into later in the show, this is not a real government shutdown. We're okay. Everything's going to be just fine. Hey, if the IRS is out of work through April 15th, 2025, good for them. James Miller, thank you for the super chat, sir. Another $10 super chat, guys. Thank you so much for all this. I love the videos released about Sharon, Mexico. Are there plans to release any more videos about it? I think as much should be done as possible for that story to be told to the general public. Funny you should say that. Luke, take it away.
Well, no, we just released a video, what was it, yesterday?
Yeah.
With my friend who is making a documentary about Sharon. He's raising funds for it independently himself. It's on our YouTube channel right now. Definitely recommend checking it out. It's my friend Chris Herring. He was there actually with me in Sharon. He came back a number of times, and he's working on this full feature-length film. I mean, this is an issue that has been very important to me. That's why I was on the Ron Paul report talking about specifically this issue. And it's something incredible. It's something amazing, and something I personally believe in. So that's why we're doing so many videos on it, and even supporting other creators and their fundraising efforts to make a full kind of feature-length documentary about the place. So if you're interested in that, just check out the video that we did yesterday.
All right, on to the next one. Mr. Floyd, thank you for the $5 super chat. Much love. Have a great Christmas, guys. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for the support, because without you, obviously, this thing does not work. And Jesse Schmidt coming back at us with another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Jesse. I will put it up for you guys when I get home at work now. So, yeah, again, Jesse Schmidt, as far as I know, he was the first guy really pushing for that GoFundMe wall. Now, Lukey no Wani Wally But Jason think Wally okay under the right circumstance, and he certainly doesn't think that $5 billion on I think a $1.4 trillion budget. It's peanuts, folks. It's a joke. It's a Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi scam. And I know I don't want to be Trump training, but the man is on fire this week, and we're gonna get to that soon.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about that, and we're going to get into all those specific details. Let's take a phone call. Let's take just a random phone call before we start, before we get into the main story, the main monologue that we want to get in, and before we get into the bigger stories from Monday all the way through Sunday. What's that phone number, Jason? And feel free to ask us a question about anything. We're going to take one random question now, and we're going to take all the questions and all the phone calls later after we're done with all the reports that we have to share with you guys.
It is 607-542-9184. That is 607-542-9184. I want to remind everybody, Luke is in high quality because he will not be able to hear you. So be patient. I'm going to have to repeat the question for Luke, and we've got our phone call right here.
So be patient. I'm going to have to repeat the question for Luke.
All right, brother.
Phone call right here.
Brother, turn down that live stream, and you are on the air with.
Hello?
Yes, you got to turn down the live stream, and then what would you like to talk about, my friend? What's the name?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you got to turn the live stream down. You got to turn. There you go. All right, my man, you are on. What's your name?
Okay.
And what would you like to talk about?
I'm Haitham Gann. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, from, let's say, last week about the Michael Cohen thing. I want to talk about, let's say, troops withdrawing from Syria. You know, we do have to be skeptical, which I have to agree with you guys. And also, Trump also said he's going to think of withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. You know, if this was to be true, like in foreign policy, even though we have to be skeptical, I wish it was. You know, I actually support it because the media that want to spin it saying things like, oh, it's a Putin win, you know, F these guys, sorry for my language, it's just the thing is, they're neoliberal, neocon hypocrites that always want war because they're like the voice piece of the military complex, of course. And
brother, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna cut you off there because Luke can't hear you. But I couldn't agree more with you. And this is gonna be our lead story. Yeah, I hope it's not too good to be true. I hope that he's actually going to pull troops out of Syria. He is writing up plans for Afghanistan. That is not a hoax. And the media is attacking him for being the peace president, which is a big problem. They are military-industrial complex mouthpieces. I think my friend Luke Rudowski will agree on all those issues. But he wants to get very in-depth because this really blindsided people. Remember, we were reporting 3 weeks ago that there was a chemical attack in Syria. You know what the mainstream media was saying? Chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp, nothing, because they couldn't blame it on Assad. For the first time, they couldn't hoax it. And that's, I think, where the tide turned. Luke may disagree with me on that point, but boy, this is great news, Luke.
All right, let's just get into the main story that we want to talk about here today because there are amazing things happening within the U.S. government that are actually, I believe, good. And they do deserve praise because actually what Donald Trump doing is not only surprising, but working towards the better benefit of the American people. Now, of course, hold on there. This is a big kind of change here because I do believe that there does still need to be room for skepticism because there is a lot of things to be skeptical of. But let's just look at what happened just this week alone because it is just astonishing. We have U.S. Senator Rand Paul saying that he is very proud of the U.S. president, mainly because of this huge decision with him withdrawing U.S. troops from Syria. We're seeing kind of a bromance being established between U.S. President Donald Trump and Rand Paul, with, of course, Donald Trump just tweeting moments ago, saying that, and quoting Rand Paul, saying that we're at war for too long in too many places, that we spent several trillions of dollars on these wars everywhere, and that Donald Trump, quote, is different, and that's why he got elected. And he is true. There's even rumors and rumblings going on of a possible Trump-Paul 2020 ticket. Those rumors are all over the place, and they're not unfounded because if you look at what's happening right now in the political discourse, when you talk about this major decision that Donald Trump just made, no one on the left and right is supporting him as much as Rand Paul. It's pretty much only Rand Paul that is supporting him on this very major, big decision. So a lot of people, including Zero Hedge, are saying things like, did Donald Trump take some political Viagra? Because he's just saying, F it. to the whole establishment and doing things for the benefit of the people. And you can't deny that. It's not just with bringing troops back, which is a huge reversal of what every other president did before him, but he also did a lot of major other things with criminal justice reform, with the farming bill. We have to understand, he just legalized hemp and CBD on a federal level. This is a huge, huge, huge turning point. If you've been watching our channel for years now, we've been going on about how idiotic the criminalization of hemp and CBD actually is, and the revolutionary progress that could be made as a society if hemp was allowed to be used. With this criminal justice reform, we're talking about huge changes here that give people a lot of leeway, especially with people who were convicted of drug offenses, non-violent drug offenses. This bill that he passed actually boosts prison rehabilitation efforts. It actually helps people reduce life sentences for just drug offenses. He also got rid of the 3 strikes rule. That was a mandated 25-year sentence to people. And this is a huge move that's going to help move our society towards a better way instead of the prison big pharma industrial complex controlled way that has been hurting humanity and its progress. And I really do believe this is a good move. I don't believe, because there's a lot of skepticism. The Russians were, of course, skeptical in the beginning if Trump was actually pulling out. The Turks were skeptical. Of course, his supporters were skeptical. And it looks like it's actually happening. We're seeing from CNN right now that the U.S. military is ordered to withdraw, and they actually are doing it. Senator Rand Paul is on CNN reminding people, hey, let's get rid of this fake talking point that this is going to embolden ISIS, because it was the United States and U.S. allies that were supplying ISIS in the first place. Rand Paul's on CNN breaking down some very big, important truth to this bigger context with all the people who are just freaking out. And this is important because, not only are we not getting these bigger facts by a lot of these major pundits and a lot of these major politicians and a lot of these major figures, we're only getting them from Rand Paul. We're also not getting them on Facebook, which censors a lot of images and a lot of these bigger truths from coming out. And that's why it was fascinating to see Senator Rand Paul air his grievances during his yearly Festivus tweet storm that he goes out and has a lot of fun with and has a lot of public attention, because it definitely seems like Rand Paul drank a couple eggnogs and he is not holding anything back. These tweets are just fascinating. We have Senator Rand Paul tweeting today, I'm going to start out with a grievance against the entire foreign policy establishment of Washington, D.C., who 2 years ago were swearing that Donald Trump was going to start multiple nuclear wars or something. Now they are mad because he is stopping 2 wars. How about you just admit you hate the president, love war, and have been wrong for the last 20 years on every part of foreign policy? Consider that my Christmas present. You don't have to get me anything else. And truer words have not been spoken this week with what just Senator Rand Paul just said out there. He also compared Lindsey Graham to literally not only a goblin, but Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars. He didn't hold anything back. He even talked about how at first he was opposed to having neoconservative John Bolton being hired to be a part of the Trump administration, but how it's really just music to his ears to see him working in there, and how he's extremely happy seeing him being the one who has to end wars when throughout his entire career he was the one calling for him. So he caught a lot of people by surprise, and we see that by the reactions. And that's why I think this is legitimate. This is why I think this is real. This is why I think this is really good, because we're seeing so much talk by the defense industry, by the military-industrial complex, saying, oh my God, he surprised all of us, saying he didn't get any of our advice. He didn't tell us what to do at all. Oh my God, what's happening here? And these people are freaking out. And the people who are freaking out the most tell you all you need to know about this specific situation. I was watching CNN today, and they were drudging on and on and on with just straight outright propaganda. We saw Fareed Zakaria, Richard Haas, Fox, CNN, all these military-industrial complex puppets, with even Rachel Maddow, who previously had a very strong anti-war stance, just freak out because Donald Trump is bringing the troops back. The Pentagon is shocked. The Pentagon is even considering using special operations and special forces on these missions to go against Donald Trump. So this shock and awe that we're seeing proves to us everything that we need to know. And it's not only just the troops leaving back here. This is also the end of U.S. operations in Syria and also the end of the U.S. bombing campaign of Syria, which is another one. And this was all pretty much accumulated to the fact that Mathis resigned, that there was a resignation from one of the highest officials in Trump's administration who was known to be one of the biggest neocons, the biggest warmongers within his administration, the Department of Defense head. With his resignation, it showed us, yes, this is a sign for the better, because the neocon establishment is not happy with this decision. And it's not just that decision, but everything coming together that's showing people like, whoa, is Donald Trump the real deal here? Is he really doing what he promised to do? And I know this brings a lot of kind of awe. I know this brings a lot of praise. And at the same time, I do believe it is warranted. But we do have to be skeptical, and we always have to look at the other side here, because from everything we're seeing, great. But let's keep in mind that Donald Trump is a president who described himself as a nationalist and also as a globalist. The leading contenders to replace Mathis now inside of Trump's administration are also war hawks, are also pro-war, pro-intervention individuals who are being looked at very closely for the Secretary of Defense. The current one that is in charge after Mathis stepped down is, of course, his predecessor and also a former executive at Boeing. And when you have someone a part of the military-industrial complex, now part of the Department of Defense, you do have to start asking questions like, hey, there's a special conflict of interest when you were just a part of a company that makes money off war, and you're a part of an organization and institution that decides if we go into war or how long we stay into war, which, by the way, we're still in conflicts in other places around the world, which is also important to understand here. Now, with this decision that Donald Trump pulled out, a lot of this laid heavily on the relationship between the United States and its NATO ally, Turkey. And we are hearing to some sources that it is Turkey that promised that they would actually be the ones that defeat ISIS in that region, which is a little bit worrisome because it was Turkey that was also the one buying oil from ISIS and enabling them with arms, munitions, and money just a few years ago. So I am a little bit skeptical of that, as also Turkey does have their own conflict of interest with their decade-long conflict, their historical conflict with the Kurds, which many people are expecting a bloodbath, as just moments ago, we are hearing that Turkish troops are amassing around Kurdish-held territory alongside the Syrian border. And that conflict between the Turks and the Kurds could become very violent and very turbulent, and it is something to look out for. Hopefully, it does not happen, and it hopefully does not create a more chaotic situation than the one that we are dealing with. But again, I still have to be a little skeptical here, because Donald Trump is also the same president that did escalate the use of drones and drone strikes. He is the one who eased away the rules for killing citizens. He is the one who put troops on the ground in Yemen, in Somalia. He is the one who used the Moab, and he is the one who bombed the Syrian government twice when they were the main forces fighting ISIS, the main forces that were funded by the United States. Trump also officially banned bump stocks, which has pissed off a lot of his debt and has disappointed a lot of his base, especially when it comes to the border, which of course is being heavily debated now. But even Drudge ran headlines saying that the wall funding was off while giving $4.8 billion to Mexico was on. And of course, this debate is happening now with the government shutdown. It'll be interesting to see how this will proceed. Again, the wall, it's mainly not even just for a wall. It's for renovating the wall. It's for fixing the wall. But that's a whole nother topic with the government shutdown in itself. The bigger context here that I wanted to leave you guys here with is, I think Trump is, again, don't forget, both a globalist and a nationalist, and he is playing to the whims and seeing where he gets his support from. His base has been reinvigorized. His base has been surprised. I've been surprised. His moves, criminal justice reform, hemp, CBD, getting troops out of Syria, possibly even now talking about taking the troops back from Afghanistan, revolutionary, amazing stuff that does deserve to have our support, does deserve praise, does deserve people saying, hey, I don't care what my political beliefs are. This is great stuff that's pushing humanity forward, and we have to admit that. What happened with Korea, also amazing. Something I was skeptical of, something that you, Burmis, brought up to me, and you were right. You were completely right about that. The peace is holding in Korea. It looks like there's going to be a bigger peace, hopefully, in Syria, and it's all because of Donald Trump. And I believe, from my own personal view, Donald Trump is playing this kind of back and forth, trying to galvanize his base. And when he does good things, I think he should be supported so he does better things for the people and not for special interests. But at the same time, let's still be skeptical and understand that anything at any moment could change very instantly, and we could be screwed over. So don't give up all your power to Donald Trump. Praise him when he does something good, but always have that skepticism in your mind, especially when it comes to powers. That's what I just believe. What do you guys believe? If you think I'm totally wrong, let me know in the comment section below. And that's just my personal take on it. What do you think? Rebuttals? Anything?
What do I think? I think Feliz Navidad, my friend. It could not be a better Christmas present. There are a few things to add. Now, originally, when Mattis made his resignation, he said he was going to be leaving at the end of February 28th. Well, this is another reason I get behind Trump. He's like, no, you're not. You're out of here, dog. We'll see you, Mad Dog Mattis. January 1st, he's got the boot. That's like... But
Mathis today was officially the one who signed the order to get troops out of Afghanistan. That just happened moments ago, Jason. And he's also out as of right now as well.
Boom! Outski and Hutch. And don't get me wrong, I believe it's Jack Keane is one of the people that's up, and he's a big war hawk. I've showed clips on my videos on Lou Dobbs talking about how there's no doubt the Syrian regime was gassing its own people and we need to stay there. That would be an ill-advised move. Now, I'm not sure Trump is actually going to get rid of Pence in a 2020 Rand Paul move. I think that it would have been a huge move to do in 2016. I think that what I'd love to see is say, Rand, would you like to be my defense secretary? And if that happened, oh my good, I think that would be one of the best things for the country, for the world, since so much military-industrial complex power resides with the United States. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah. And this is why I still say people should be very skeptical, because it could be Trump Rand 2020, or it could be Trump Nikki Haley 2020, and all of those options are possible. And I think the more people support the Rand aspect of it, the more popular aspects, the more populist aspects and policies of Donald Trump, the more we can move in a better direction. But also be aware, like, hey, holy cow, Nikki Haley may come in at any moment and steal the show and do something really bad, like bomb the Syrian government, which Donald Trump has done twice, which we still need to be aware of. But that's just my take on it.
No, I totally 100% agree with your skepticism. Again, you know what? I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago where we were talking about what we wanted for Christmas. Someone asked me, and I said, I'd love for Trump to get out of Afghanistan and Syria, kind of jokingly, and said that if that were to happen, I'd probably buy a ticket for the Trump train. Well, it hasn't happened yet. But again, here's another really good sign, Luke. The media.
Hey, hold on. Just one thing. As a government skeptic, I'm not getting on any trains. Go ahead.
You don't ride the LIE? No, you don't.
No, I don't get on any trains, especially any German trains, especially in my history, that's run and operated by the government. It's bad news, especially for my Polish people.
Okay. All right.
Hey, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. My point being that it seems like it's going to happen in rapid fashion with the media so silent on that chemical attack, never refuting it, never saying that Assad was lying or Syrian state television was lying, and never rebuking it, and the fact that they're not reporting on. Remember when we talked about Putin saying that there were 700 hostages in that last... Yeah, they killed every one of those people. That's another thing that, Breitbart will tell you that, and that's being reported in the Middle East. That Breitbart report, that's not some Breitbart reporter. They literally took the Middle East press release that they murdered all seven. They have no chips. They killed all their hostages. Their chemical attack did not work. This was it. This was it. And I applaud Trump for this. He needs more of this. Listen, Luke, we're almost 2 years into his presidency. You realize that. Like, he was sworn in January. We're almost there. And if he could actually get this done, you know what? It's going to be hard for me to argue. I don't love the police state that he's built at home. I don't love the fact that he hasn't spoken out and said, bring Assange here. We will give him asylum. I don't love that he's spoken out against Snowden and so many other things. But I do like the fact that we're moving in a direction towards peace, Luke.
Yeah, again, we have to understand here Trump is a globalist and a nationalist. He sways back and forth between the two depending on who supports it and what he gets back in return from it. So I think that's a very important aspect to understand moving forward here, because I do believe the public can incentivize good behavior for the benefit of the people away from the special interests. And I believe that Donald Trump could be persuaded by, of course, all the people around him as well, which he has been very easily persuaded by before. So we have to keep all those aspects in mind here. We have to be aware of all those situations unfolding in front of us, and I'm surprised. I'm utterly shocked, and let's just I'm happy. I'm happy that we could finally have hemp. I'm happy that people won't go to jail for as long as horrible sentences as they were before, which is another form of human slavery, for just doing a chemical or doing a drug, which every person should have a right to do whatever they want with their body without any government intervention. I'm happy those things are getting better. I'm happy that there's not going to be a bigger conflict in Syria. I'm happy that we're finally going to bring the troops back home and not entangle ourselves in just nonsense. That makes absolutely no sense. There is no argument. There is not one argument right now that I saw that is even legitimate. I don't even think people are making an argument to the legitimacy of keeping the troops there. People are talking about, oh yeah, we're enabling ISIS. ISIS was literally using the U.S. bases as a safe haven, as a safe zone. You moronic idiots. Like it was mainly Iranian, Hezbollah, Syrian, Russian forces that were destroying ISIS. ISIS was positioning themselves along the U.S. borders for a safe haven. People don't understand that. Gosh, if they could just understand and see the atrocities that were happening there, if we didn't have a manipulated media. Again, nothing about the chemical attacks, nothing about the 700 hostages, and enough is enough. And it's finally good to see Donald Trump commit towards something that puts truly America first. So that's an important aspect of it. I want to go over the super chats, or else you want to say something else on this topic, Jason?
You know what? There's only one thing. While we are voicing our skepticism, I do want to remind everybody the legs were really cut out from under that resolution for Yemen last week in the Senate, and we were the only ones to call it out. Remember, they took that bill and said, hey, if it's a joint operation with Israel, we can continue to bomb that region. So I think that's something that needs to be fixed. Obviously, Trump's allegiance to Israel, Jerusalem being the capital, the embassy there, and working so closely with Netanyahu, we have to remain skeptical. But if our troops are leaving Afghanistan and Syria in masses, I am going to thank the man. Thank you very much, Mr. Trump. Thank you.
Couple things to look out for. Israel really didn't voice that much opposition towards this, which means that this was most likely a bigger deal between the United States, Russia, and Israel. You could also expect Iranian forces to move away from Syria and have less of an influence there, which I think is the bigger deal that was being made here. And also, let's keep an eye and make sure that the U.S. troops are not replaced with foreign mercenaries, with military contractors. Let's also make sure that just because our soldiers aren't there doesn't mean that Eric Prince, Blackwater, and all these other agencies aren't there as well, operating outside of international law, which also could be a possibility here, which also we need to be aware of, because there's Russian mercenaries working inside of Syria right now. Some of them were even killed directly by U.S. targeted bombing. And that situation is also an important one. But still, even with that, at least the troops aren't there, which prevent a bigger crisis, a bigger problem from evolving between officially world powers. And I think still, overall, that's a great decision that happened. So yeah, let's go over the super chats, then go to your monologue. Do you want me to take it off from here, Jason, or do you want to grab it?
No, I got it right here. Video was, this is from Jesse Schmidt. Jesse Schmidt just keeps pouring it on. Thank you so much. Video was China and Russia set eyes on the USD. At an hour and 46 minutes, you should come to Miami and shill the Trump coin. Listen, we're not selling any Trump coins. There are some
Isn't
people
France
out there.
selling Trump coins?
I knew you were going to say the Franchster. Yes,
Is-
at least they're made of gold and silver. Listen, I'm just saying. At least they're made of.
You could buy
precious
raw
metals.
gold and silver, and then
Yeah, you can put them up.
commemorative Trump coins. Really, is that where we're at?
I certainly wouldn't buy one, but hey, I get it. Thank you so much, Jesse. Marco P. 1999. Thank you for the super chat. Merry Xmas with a little Treesky and Hutch. Merry Christmas to you too, sir. And Patrick Segoin, another great contributor, $2 super chat. Farm Bill has UMF war powers to hurt Yemen more. Yee. I guess that's something I'm going to have to look into. Again, the situation in Yemen is one I'm keeping a close eye on, and I am very skeptical of because of not only the Israeli interest, but the Saudi Arabian interest and the U.S. military-industrial complex Raytheon Lockheed Martin interest. Those are big interests, and like I said, they found a roundabout way to really make the media act like nothing happened, like they're really going to end it. But with those joint Israeli operations, the bombs will keep flying, I promise you.
Well, we'll see exactly what happens. We're going to be following the situation very closely here, of course, because we look into these things unlike the mainstream media, and we actually are like, hey, let's actually make sure we do a good job and tell people exactly what's happening instead of what special interests want you to say or want you to believe. There's a big difference between the two, and they're definitely not the same. All right, so yeah, let's get into the next story. What's the next story that we have lined up, Jason?
Well, this is the big story of the week that they're kind of trying to let Facebook weasel out of, and I'm not going to let them weasel out of it because I was telling everybody when the Cambridge Analytica scandal hit, Luke, I said, you know what? Not a scandal. You know why it's not a scandal? Because they share all of your information. All of the companies do. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, every single social media site, you go to a site that you subscribe to for content, whether it be TV content or music content, aka the Spotifys of the world, even Vimeo out there. I promise you, everything you do on the web, if it is not sold by these big companies directly, the analytic data that goes with it, okay, it is tracked, traced, and databased by the government for sure. And it was revealed this week, and they're trying to backpedal, don't you worry, and the mainstream media is trying to help them, that they shared your private messages with 150 companies. Yes, all you people that have now substituted Facebook for your messaging app instead of just, texting that schlong pic to your girlfriend. You figure, hey, I'll just give it to her on a private message. No big deal. Well,
There's a lot
that's...
of schlong pics.
Oh, my goodness. I can't imagine how many people, first of all, people are probably in denial. Well, I'm warning you, Jason Berman's been telling you this for years. Everything you do, every keystroke you make in the digital universe is out there forever. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's worse than that. Before we get into the fact that this is appalling and, they sat up there and lied before Congress, they lied before Parliament because Zuckerberg didn't even make his way across the sea. And then he refused to go speak the second time they wanted to. Lied the entire time. You're in control. You're the one that gets to decide who sees your data. Sir, that's not how Facebook works. No, that is how Facebook works, Mark. So the backpedaling is, it was over third-party apps. It was while we were testing things, yada, yada, yada. And, of course, the weaseling mainstream media will run all sorts of headlines trying to forgive them. Facebook offered big tech firms more user data than previously revealed. Soften the blow. Let's soften the blow. But the bottom line is that, again, it goes beyond that. It goes into a thing called ACR software. And that software, folks, is listening to you right now on your cell phone, whether it's on or not, whether it's in the little black mode. I've got one sitting next to me. I guarantee that somewhere, some app in the background is using that to listen to this conversation. Now, does that mean a man is listening to everything you say? No, it means that Your conversations are run through powerful artificial intelligence tools to make you a better consumer, to decide what ads do show up, to see where you're going to be at what time, what foods you eat, what you feed your kids, what television shows you watch, what political parties you endorse, and how you think and act overall. And that's not just every keystroke. That's not just every private message. Again, those are your conversations. That will be the next scandal, whether it's Facebook or not. And remember, there are a lot of shareholders that want Zuckerberg out. Zuckerberg, in the beginning of all this Russian collusion nonsense that happened 2.5, 3 years ago now, he laughed at it. He said it was a joke. He said that these ads had no way, shape, or form made the election any different. And then as soon as they started squashing down, of course there was Russian interference. We need to censor political ads. They want someone even worse than Zuckerberg in there, and they'll get him. I promise you that. Or they'll just get Zuckerberg in line, or they'll just eviscerate the company and have some other social media network that they can work with to have you literally put your entire soul and existence online for scrutiny by our digital overlords. That's how I feel about it, Luke. I'm not sure if you feel the same.
Well, pretty much, but we have to look out for the predictive programming, which is even more terrifying, especially with the artificial intelligence that they're building that could actually take all of your information and be able to predict what you're going to be able to say, think, or do, or even if you're about to be pregnant. And the levels of advertising and the level of psychology that's involved here should terrify George Orwell and make him spin around in his grave for the rest of eternity. Because I know we're talking about privacy here, but this is the possibility of this becoming more sinister is very much out there and very much possible unless we stop it. I mean, we were talking about 150 companies now. Most of these companies care about profits, but it's not just these companies, it's also governments. How many stories have been again shown to us time and time again, showing how NSA officials were trading, intercepting, copying, pasting, even masturbating to nudes that they intercepted from you illegally through their data bulk collection program. There's absolute astonishing photos of government officials abusing their power to get off. Now imagine what's happening with the other stuff that they're keeping secret. So this stuff is extremely, extremely important. Facebook, again, this is, you've been saying it ever since Cambridge Analytica. I've been saying it for, I think, longer than, what was it, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we confronted the former CIA and NSA head Michael Hayden. And I said to him, hey, your officials have been caught jerking it to nudes of other people that they intercepted illegally. He's like, you got to see the video. Michael Hayden, WeAreChange on YouTube. And that will tell you everything you need to know, because we were telling you and warning you about this for years. Now we're warning you about this AI predictive programming. That's a lot more terrifying than just a couple NSA agents, doing that. It's far worse than you can imagine. That's all I could say on this issue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you know what? You're not wrong. I mean, it's pretty disturbing that there are pervert agents of our government that, remember, they've caught some pedophiles within the government. It happens. They've said the National Security Agency, the Pentagon, among other places. You can go Google that. That's not just Jason Burma saying it. So, it's pretty bad that maybe they're spank-tangling to your wife or your daughter or your sister. But what about your children? Think about that. Think about the fact that they can access your camera on your phone or your webcam or your smart TV cam or the microphones in any device that's out there. That's something that, again, I have been talking about for well over a decade, and even have a section of that in my free film, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined. Please go check it out and spread it on the YouTube, Facebook, and other social media platforms. Luke, you wanna move on to the Monday story?
Yeah, let's move on through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday story, but let's move over them really quickly. Before we get into that, let's get over some of the super chats. We got another one by Vinny Blanco, who says, I noticed you guys ignored the COPE conference last week in Mother Poland. Is climate change a Chinese hoax? Well, Vinny, there's a lot of disinformation about the climate change and all that. A lot of the pollution does come from China and other developing countries in Africa and in India. A lot of those problems aren't addressed, and they just want to put a tax on people. And we've seen how well that worked in France. Oh boy, sure as well. We saw how good a tax for climate change in Paris worked out. As already we're seeing the Western world just being pulled to its utter limits as governments and bankers and crooks use any excuse to siphon any little money that you have left out of you. Utterly crazy what's happening, and the whole idea of climate change needs to be discussed in a bigger context, in a bigger way, and it's definitely not, and it's talked about in a false dichotomy that is very unfair to the actual issues that we are dealing with as humanity. Anything you want to say about climate change, Jason?
I just want to say this. He's talking about the Copenhagen conference, Luke, and there is pollution, and there's a lot of it, and there's a lot of regulation that needs to happen. I just don't think that I need to be taxed for CO2, which is what they're promoting. They're promoting a carbon dioxide tax, the life force of plants here on the planet. They're not talking about actual pollutants. They're not talking about even really regulating. They're saying if we tax all these people, we'll figure it out. We need to give breaks to all these other companies. It just seems like they're disingenuous, and I don't want to go on about it forever, but like he said...
And they're totally fake. Yeah, the biggest polluter is the U.S. military. Sorry, go ahead. You want to get the next one and finish off?
Yeah, I'm just saying that, again, look at what's going on in France. We didn't even cover that story, but I promise you, the Yellow Vests are far from done, and they showed again this Saturday. They ain't playing, baby. This is real, and I can't let it take hold of you. That's the next Christmas present. That's the Happy New Year. If the Yellow Vests come to the United States, it's Happy New Year, my friend.
Well, it already came in a major way to Ireland, and I'm definitely excited for the European spring. I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Europe, not because I want to, but it's going to be a powder keg situation ready to explode because, again, Macron makes some concessions, but the holidays, the cold weather have slowed down the major Yellow Vest movement, and it's only going to kick up again once the weather starts getting better, once people start getting more organized, once people come back into the house, spend time with family, and actually talk about these things, and trust me, it's going to go off in Europe, and we're going to be spending a lot of time there, so expect more on the ground coverage. Go up to the next one, Jason.
Yep, Bill Steinbeck, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. All I want for solstice is the truth. Thanks, guys. Yes, it is the winter solstice, and yes, actually, Christmas, if you believe in Jesus Christ being born, it definitely wasn't on December 25th. This was kind of a deal that the establishment made with the former pagan religion to absorb Christmas, and that's why we have the Christmas tree and the ornaments, and it is based on the winter solstice. So thank you, Bill Steinbeck, for that. Soul A, $5 super chat. Happy holidays, everyone. Luke, I'm waiting for the picture of you. Thank you, Luke. Look at those baby face. Look at those baby blues. Woohoo!
Thank you, Soul, for everything. Soul asked me if I send her a picture of myself signed, which is kind of weird for me to do. I don't have many pictures of myself. I have to organize that somehow, but I will. I promise. Soul, if that's what you want, thank you so much for supporting us. Really appreciate you very much. And yeah, I'll definitely do that. All right, the next one is by Strum Soldier, $20 super chat, who says, "What is the relevance of the NYPD snuff film of Clinton murdering a little child that was found on Anthony Weiner's laptop? All the officers said they were so horrified that they were scared from watching this video."
Can I take this? Can I take this, please?
Yes.
All right. So, as somebody that's read the emails and looked at all the evidence and absolutely says there's something very, very wrong with those Podesta emails and that many of these people need to be investigated for some very, very bad things. Let's take what you just said. First of all, there has never been one quote by any New York police officer in any way of what you're saying. The Gateway Pundit ran one story where they said that an unnamed police officer said what they saw on there was so horrific that there was no way that they would be able to walk away and get out of this stuff. And that was all they alluded to. Remember, it was WikiLeaks that said, look for signs of child trafficking within the emails. Now, as far as Clinton murdering a child on tape, that is a complete hoax as far as I know. I have not seen any evidence of that. I've seen the rumors of the HRC tape, or the frazzled drip and frazzled rip tape, that now made its way into congressional hearings, by the way. Made its way a week and a half ago while everybody was paying attention to the Monopoly Man. People were bringing that up as a way to get more internet censorship. And apparently that video exists with her and Huma Abedin in a basement of somewhere notorious that we won't talk about. But until I see evidence of any of what we discussed, that entire night, I appreciate the super chat. I hope that you actually take what I say to heart and go and look at the actual information, because I think it's very problematic that John Podesta is in a group email with many other people where 3 children, 11, 9, and 7, will be getting into a heated pool for his entertainment. That's problematic. Some of the language used in those emails is problematic, but from what you said, my friend, again, I've seen no evidence. If that were the case, I would hope a person in the NYPD would come forward with that copy of Wiener's email, because nothing's going to be done. I've read the IG reports, okay? We got a guy, Mueller, who's wiping text messages of Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, who are just a couple of people that were having an affair and trying to set Trump up. We're not talking about kitty murder tapes here. Can you imagine how extreme that is? Luke, you got anything to add?
Well, that's why it's important to talk about the truth. And the truth is sometimes not convenient to what you want it to be. And I know a lot of people see headlines and there's a lot of clickbait out there, and there's a lot of people just making stuff up just to grab your attention. But we have to call those out. We have to be better. We can't be like the mainstream media just pushing an agenda. I was watching CNN today, absolutely sick of just the utter propaganda and hatred and bigotry that they have for the average man, and also Donald Trump with him actually finally for once doing the right thing. We don't want to be like that. We want to be better than that. And the truth is what you should have allegiance to. And that's why we should look into everything. And if something's bullcrap and it has no evidence behind it, we shouldn't be promoting it. And that's why it's important to look at all sides of the coin here and understand both sides of the stories. And I appreciate for you looking into this specific case, because this is something that I haven't even personally looked into myself. Okay, let's go over Monday, Tuesdays, all the way to Sunday's story. Let's just mention them very quickly, Jason, and then take phone calls.
You got it. So you started a little bit with the hemp, and Cuomo says he's going to move to decriminalize recreational marijuana in New York within months. I can only say this: thank you. It is about time, and I can only hope that a guy like me could start a business selling this on Main Street as easily as a corporate donor to him and his Democratic buddies. That's all I'm saying. I think there's going to be a lot of red tape who actually gets to grow, cultivate, and sell the marijuana. But this is a step in the right direction. I'm very excited, Luke.
He's saying months because he's trying to think of all the ways that you could tax marijuana, or probably make it Monsanto GMO crap that doesn't serve any interest. Because if you look in New York, look how much cigarettes and alcohol are taxed. It's absolutely insane. So they're probably just working out. They probably have to calculate all the taxes that they want to put on it before making it legal. But this is a step in that direction. Shouldn't take months. It should be legal now, and the government should not be regulating it. Just like any drug, all drugs should be free and not be criminalized by other individuals. That's my personal take on it. I know, Jason, you disagree, and other people may disagree, but that's a whole nother story. Tuesday, what are we talking about Tuesday here? I can't see the New York Times article, by the way, because they want me to pay, and I refuse to pay them to see the news articles. I don't know if you hit their limit, but I already hit their limit.
No, I did too. Tuesday? Yeah, I got to see the headline. That was it. So the stock market is on a pace for the worst December since the Great Depression, Luke. This was earlier in the week, and then later in the week, it only got worse. If it were 1929, we would actually be past those points, but because we have such a socialized system where literally 40+% of the population are taking some kind of money or benefit from the government, we're not going to feel the brunt of it. But this is collapse level, and you actually did a video a couple days on a similar topic.
Yeah, and the charts here are absolutely insane. If you look at the charts of the ups and downs of the U.S. economy, whether it's the dot-com bubble, whether it's the real estate bubble, and the one building up now, it's a lot higher than both of those. It's almost twice as high, if not even higher than that. And we're talking about bonds, we're talking about stocks, we're talking about real estate, we're talking about student debt, we're talking about all of these things, bubbles up, and The ride down is not going to be fun. And that's why I always say on this channel, at least 15% of your income, put it towards alternative to the dollars. No matter how little, just have a plan, have a backup, have a plan B. Gold, silver, real estate, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, altcoins, anything's better. 15%, whatever you're able to have to lose. That's the smart move. It's a smart decision, especially around this time, because the economic numbers make absolutely no sense at all. All right, Wednesday's story, right?
Yes, we are on Wednesday's story, and basically this is just a revamp of what we were talking about. This was it. Wednesday, Trump said, we're out of there, we're leaving Syria, we're writing up plans for Afghanistan, and this is the spark that lit the fire, Luke, and I am just so excited. I can't reiterate it more. It really does feel like I should wear this Christmas hat for the rest of my life.
It is good news. Let's give credit to where credit is due. Donald Trump did do the right thing, and he deserves our support because all these bloodthirsty establishment neocons and even neoliberals and anyone in the establishment is crapping on him for this move, but this is the right move to make that will benefit the world. We need to understand that. We need to support that. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah,
Thursday?
Yeah. And this one's pretty crazy. Remember, the most trusted name in news. That's what I have to hear James Earl Jones tell me every time I'm flipping. The most trusted name in news, CNN. Well, CNN touted their Journalist of the Year. Well, guess what? He's now admitted to fabricating at least 14 stories in an investigation. So you know what that means? Well, he can't be trusted. And if he only got caught on 14 from an internal investigation, this man has probably based his career on lies and propaganda, much like CNN has. Remember, CNN, the people that told you weapons of mass destruction. CNN, the people that want to stay in Syria. CNN, that want nothing good for you other than their own propagandized crap, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, he worked for Der Spiegel, which is one of the biggest journalism publications, one of the most famous journalism publications out there. So this is a black eye to Der Spiegel, but let's give Der Spiegel credit here because they did the right thing. They investigate his story. They actually did some fact checking and they actually called it out, even though they're having a lot of egg on their face right now. They did the right move. So this journalist does need to be called out. Der Spiegel, let's give them credit for doing the right thing here, because I'll bet you my bottom dollar that if CNN was in the same position, they would have been like, We saw the same with Donna Brazile when she was caught red-handed, giving Hillary Clinton the jump, the information to give an unfair advantage over Bernie Sanders. And they really just laid her off. But Der Spiegel is really doing the right thing. This guy wrote a lot of crazy stories about Trump and the resistance movement, and all of that has just completely failed. So, yeah, crazy.
On to the next story, and this one is Friday's story, and this one just nutty McNutterson. Sacha Baron Cohen, a.k.a. Borat, a.k.a. so many other great characters. He was doing Who's America, and he thought he may have stumbled onto a pedophile ring. Now, what's really upsetting about this is not only did he think he stumbled on a pedophile ring, and by the way, watched the entire series, enjoyed a lot of it, went after the right, went after the left. There were a few times when he was making a point that I did not agree with. Didn't think it was very funny at times, but overall, hilarious. Now, this character, he plays like a Giovanni playboy. He's wearing white suits and he's photographing beautiful women, this guy. In one of the episodes that aired, he's getting a hand job and then oral sex under a blanket while making a deal for a large cruise ship on behalf of Bashir al-Assad, the Syrian dictator. Okay, so that is the character that he used for this operation. Now, he thought when he started...
Was it pretend or was it really happening? And we got to be careful with the words we use here on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I know. I maybe the hand one was maybe a little bit too much. All right, so...
Family-friendly show here, Jason.
Trying. PG-13.
Was he acting like this was happening to him, or was it actually happening and on Showtime showing it?
Let me explain. So again, while he's making and he's negotiating a
Let's watch our words here. Let's try
$100
to use
million,
terminologies.
yes, $100 million plus deal for some cruise ship where he's like, and we'll be able to mount anti-missile aircraft fire on the. Oh, we can do that, you know. And this guy's talking about other dictators that he's got cruise ships for and all this stuff. So then he has like this woman, right, that's in and out of the situation, and he's speaking to her in a foreign language. So then he sits down on a couch and he puts a blanket over both of them and she begins to do her business. So obviously it was simulated, but it was to appear real, okay? So the guy watching it thinks it's real. So back to the story. This same character that is acting as this billionaire playboy is in Las Vegas. And he starts telling the concierge there at Vegas. Now remember, this is the person. This isn't the bellboy. This isn't the guy that checks you in. This is the person that makes sure that high-level clientele get what they want, a.k.a. their drugs, their women, their booze, their fun, the things they enjoy. Now, for some time, Sacha Baron Cohen starts talking about how he made his way with an 8-year-old boy and that this boy needs to be silenced. Now, at this point, he thought the concierge was going to leave. He did not leave. And he said, listen, he actually joked about drowning the boy, Cohen did. And the guy said, listen, we can't do that in this country. But he gave him the number of a lawyer who could get the kid to shut up. Now, if that's where it ended, disturbing enough. But that's not where it ends. So then he asks him if he can get him a date for tonight. And he asks him what kind of date. And he says, well, not quite bar mitzvah age, but older than 8. So, again, between an 8 and 13-year-old boy. And he says, yes, I can put you in touch with somebody. I do this for high-level businessmen and politicians all the time. It was at that point that Cohen, and this is probably the most disturbing part of the story, Luke.
Is there actual video of this, or are you just reading?
No, we can't see it, but he's got
on Showtime.
The Showtime has all the tapes. Now, this is where I'm going with this. After all this happens, they decide that they're going to turn over the footage to the FBI. Remember, they're acting as if they're high rollers at an expensive casino talking to a high-level person who makes these arrangements for people all the time. They have this man on video talking about it. They gave it to the FBI. And the FBI decided not to pursue it. Let me repeat that. The FBI decided not to pursue what Sacha Baron Cohen thought may have been a high-level pedophile ring. Let that sink in. So that's very appropriate for the super chat we went over only about 15, 20 minutes ago. But it sure makes you think, Luke. It sure disturbs me that the Federal Bureau of Investigation refuses to conduct that type of investigation.
Yeah, very disturbing. Again, let's look. There's all possibilities here. There could be an ongoing investigation. There's a lot of times that the FBI actually sets up a lot of these sting operations where they pretend to be a lot of these bad people as well. That's also a possibility. I'm not saying it's true, but there has been a lot of not really doing their duties at the FBI. The FBI does not have a good track record. To say the least, especially with their activities with COINTELPRO, especially with their illegal activities that they have conducted against activists, especially with a lot of the mentally ill people that they have established and set up to be terrorists in this country, when they were mentally ill and incapable of doing anything. So all the options here are possible. I definitely wish we had more transparency amongst that institution, amongst that organization. Anything is possible here. But of course, we're going to lean towards the more skeptical avenue here, because this is the more likely of scenarios from everything we know from this institution and organization. All right, let's go over to Saturday's story.
And Saturday's story is the government shutdown, baby. We didn't really talk about it, but it is shut down. And they're trying to negotiate. Remember, Pelosi and Schumer basically lied in that little spit spat in front of the media, which I actually really enjoyed, and you can watch the highlights of over at the Facebook WeAreChange. They said there's no way that your bill's going to pass Congress. Well, it passed Congress, no problem. Of course, the Senate would not pass it. And the $5 billion is literally peanuts, Luke, peanuts. They are just grandstanding. I know you love it because you don't mind the shutdown, but I think that the wall is a good idea. I may not agree with the shape that it's taking, but it's what the people want, and I think it does deter illegal immigration.
Well, again, most of the illegal immigration comes from people overstaying their visas and flying in, which is a big proponent, which people don't like to talk about. But definitely being on the ground in Tijuana and seeing the migrant caravan and everything happening, that did, shape my perspective a lot and gave me a lot of different kind of understandings of it. Because there are a lot of people trying to cross over illegally. Some of them are not the best people. Some of them are honestly wanting a better life and existence. And it's such a complicated situation. But again, what we have to understand here, the 5 billion is not for the wall. It's for renovating parts of the wall. If any other president other than Trump asked for this, which Obama did before, which Bush did before, they were automatically approved. This is just maintenance of the wall. Uh, Previously approved by other administrations, no problem. Since it's Donald Trump, they're making this a legal basis. They're making this a political thing. And Donald Trump is saying, well, we're going to shut down the government because of this. And now they're blaming each other. No, the Democrats are responsible. The Republicans are responsible for shutting down this wall. When you're talking about $5 billion, absolute peanuts compared to the foreign aid we're giving to Afghanistan, the foreign aid we're giving to Iraq, the foreign aid that we're giving to Israel, which is a lot higher. How about we just get rid of all foreign aid? There's no reason like we're giving off money to all these other places. But at this whole larger context of things, money doesn't even matter because the government is just printing it out of nowhere. The U.S. government is what, 21 to close to $22 trillion in debt. Money doesn't matter anymore. It's absolutely just a show. And that's why, hell, I'm happy. Shut it all down. You work for the government, you work for a criminal organization. Don't expect the criminal organization to always be there for you. Let's not work for criminal organizations that extort you and steal your wealth. Again, it's all a horse and pony show. It's all bull crap anyway. It's all just imaginary numbers on a computer screen, just clicking 0 and 0. That's modern day banking, all artificially built. And then they talk about having to tax us. They don't have to tax us. They could still just keep going this artificial way. It's a form of control. And government being shut down, sure, great thing. Keep it shut down forever. I'll be very happy. That's my take on it. Jason disagrees, but that's a whole story in itself. Let's get to the last story and then take phone calls really quickly.
You got it. And we're going to sandwich the week stories with more cannabis. South Africa poised for cannabis
I know
trade
you're happy about that.
despite obstacles. Well, the reason I went over this one is because obviously South Africa is a huge, lush land with the United States decriminalizing more and more. This is going to be a huge export for them. But all of this, of course, Luke, is going down amidst the land grabs and expropriation of land without compensation in South Africa. So you have to wonder how much of that land is not only going to be taken by the government, but then immediately put into cannabis production. When I read this, I thought to myself, man, there's enough red tape here that once this happens, that's what's going to happen.
Well, I kind of doubt that. I kind of see what's going to happen in South Africa if they go along with their original plan to take away people's land. It's probably going to be another situation like I saw in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe took away a lot of land, specifically from white farmers, and a lot of the farms went down under immediately afterwards because the government just put anyone in position to run the farms who didn't understand how to run farms successfully. And one of the countries that was the breadbasket of Africa, Zimbabwe, went from being one of the biggest producers of agriculture to the country that went through the largest hyperinflation in world human history. So I see it going the same way, especially with the economic problems that South Africa has with its water supply. Again, horrible, horrible situation unfolding in South Africa. Something I may cover in 2019. I may not. Very, very harrowing situation there. But that's my take on it. If you have something else to say, let me know, Jason. But other than that, let's just go to the super chats and then take phone calls.
You got it. And the line to call, it's open right now, is 607-542-9184. Bill Steinbeck, another super chat. Thank you so much. What kind of order will emerge from all this chaos? Well, if it's the order that the establishment wants, please watch my film Invisible Empire for more. Obviously, it is a globalized one, but I don't think they're in control, man. I don't think our fate is written. I think that we got to continue fighting. And like I said, this week is extremely encouraging. And Rand Paul on a 2020 ticket would be even more encouraging. You agree, Luke?
Well, it could be Ron Paul, Rand Paul. It could be Nikki Haley, but it all depends on you. Most importantly, your life depends and is in your hands. A lot of people don't like that responsibility, but you need to take that responsibility because no one else will. And until you will, we're going to have the crap that we're dealing with unless we actually take ourselves by the bootstraps and create a better life and existence for ourselves. And it starts with the very small actions that you take every single day. There's a lot of traps laid out for us. There's a lot of subconscious advertising, propaganda, television programming that is meant to deter you from that self-responsibility, from that sovereignty, from that freedom, from that liberation of your true self. And once you start moving away from it, once you start realizing like, hey, got to move away from it and not watch it, not participate in it, then life really starts opening up a whole lot of amazing possibilities, a whole lot of amazing chances, a whole lot of amazing life that is right in front of you. A lot of people dread life. A lot of people are unhappy in life. A lot of people are depressed. More people are depressed now than ever. That could end. That could end all with you making just the smallest of decisions. And I think the biggest one is, of course, turning off the TV, turning off the subliminal propaganda and psychological warfare that's perpetrated on you. Let's take this phone call.
You are live with Luke and Jason. What is your name and what would you like to talk about? Remember, Luke cannot hear you.
My name's Soko, and I want to talk about the surveillance state.
All right. Well, that's you know what? Let's go over this super chat, and then I'm going to let you speak your piece because this is from the previous caller, actually, Back Ishmael. How likely for MTA to deploy body scanners build inside some subway turnstiles? Guys, please never sell out. Hi from New York City. And I think that is a real fear because we've already got the body scanners in airports, and I think that there is a next step, Luke. And we're going to let you talk in just 1 minute.
It already happened in Los Angeles. The TSA was sent out to their public transportation system where people were getting on the trains, and they were literally checking people there. There's videos and pictures of kids being patted down, which were extremely disturbing. That is very likely. You have to understand here in New York City, we have a total surveillance control grid system. Every time you go in and out of the city, you are pretty much registered, especially if you're driving in. They have new Homeland Security satellites literally at every tunnel that not only do advanced facial recognitioning, but all the information all about you. New York City is especially efficient when it comes to documenting people coming in and out, not for terrorism, not for your safety like they say it is, but for tax purposes. They want to make sure if you're living in New York City, you're going to be paying New York City taxes, and they are the most efficient with, of course, the surveillance grid technology that they use against you to generate more revenue for the state. It's absolutely terrifying. If you're a tax cheat and you're living in New York City and you're not trying to pay New York City taxes, it is almost virtually impossible. Because of the track trace system that they have here. So I'm telling you, MTA having body scanners there, that's a limited problem. It's an unlikely scenario, mainly because of the volume of people, but all the other surveillance grid systems that they have, you should be aware of and are more terrifying. I don't see it being deployed in the subways because too many people, too much rush hour. New Yorkers are tough. The few remaining New Yorkers that are here that are not hipsters or yuppies or transplants, excuse me, not any of those people. The few remaining tough New Yorkers would actually have a revolution if we had those body scanners and would rebel. The yuppies, the transplants, the hipsters would, of course, lovingly do their selfies with their little Starbucks bull crap all over it and actually enjoy it. So, yeah, don't see that happening. My personal take on it.
Well, caller, what did you want to talk about on the surveillance state? Thanks for holding.
I wanted to say you guys did a really great job breaking it down. Afghanistan does have absolutely everything. Zuckerberg is never going to be prosecuted. You had the Pentagon program of LifeLog that was canceled the exact same day Facebook opened and went public. That was run by DARPA. Mm-hmm. They have everything. I'm all over social media, and everyone thinks Tor, the dark net. Tor was created by naval intelligence.
Let me stop you right there for a second.
And they're also getting funding by DARPA right now as we speak.
Let me just stop you because a lot of people don't realize that. So what our caller just talked about with Tor, and he was talking about the beginning of Facebook and its connection to DARPA possibly. Tor, without a doubt, was seed funded by the National Security Agency. In fact, it was used by their agents. They liked the fact that it was harder to track, trace, and database their activity that they were trying to mask using VPNs and other tools. So really, Tor is a system based around intelligence agencies. Brother, I thank you so much for the call, and I really appreciate it. Listen, like he just said, the surveillance grid goes way further than what we've talked about. Go ahead, Luke.
And it also includes honeypots, traps that literally the NSA, the FBI, the CIA lay out and make, pretending to be solutions to the problems, being, of course, what is the correct term? The fake resistance. There's another
controlled opposition, sir.
There you go, controlled opposition. And then you think you're using something, but it's a system established by the very problem that is supposedly being dedicated to solve. So you have to be aware. There's no clear answer for total privacy and security, except for diversifying as much as you can and hoping that you are somehow safe. But ultimately, there's nothing safe out there. There's nothing sacred out there. And the few people who are, based on their principles, the people who provide services that are actual beneficial to more freedom and more security, like what was the guy's name that we interviewed on this channel? LeVar Levinson, who built the email program that Edward Snowden was using. He was a legitimate person that created an email service that was legitimate, to the point where he had government agents come down being like, we're taking all your information. And he decided to pull the plug on his entire operation. So the good operations have been shut down. A lot of the other operations are honeypots. You really have to be extremely, extremely careful and extremely just diversifying as much as you can and trying to hide in a big crowd. That's pretty much is your best bet, because there's nothing that is completely bulletproof that could give you online security and safety. And you really, really have to look into it and really, really have to do your complete research on. So yeah, that's my personal take on it.
And honestly, Luke, the only way to really fiercely combat it is to purposely feed it disinformation on a regular basis, which is hard because you have to live somebody else's life. You have to remember to search for the baked goods you don't like, or what you don't want. I mean, there's so much that you could do. Put the wrong name, make a fake email, go to bad websites. Once again, it's very hard to disguise yourself online, period. And you're a digital person, believe me, there's a profile. Social credit scores are real. Don't believe the mainstream media. They're trying to downplay it.
Apple has a social credit score that they're not even telling you about, that they already have in existence. It only makes sense, like seeing what's happening in China, that's going to come to Western societies, especially with more governments just becoming more authoritarian. And they're doing that with this divide and conquer scheme, making people, of course, call for more government, give me more authority, go hurt the other guy because they're really bad. They do that in such a planned way where you think you're doing the right thing, but you're causing a bigger problem to happen. That's why on this channel, we're not left wing, we're not right wing. We don't cater to any power structure. The power should be decentralized. The power should be on an individual basis for a human being to design and destine his life to where he or she wants to go individually, as long as they are not hurting anyone else. It's a simple human divine right that people forget as soon as they get butthurt because a liptard or a cuck-servative does something that they don't like. And the first thing that happens, they're like, government, go fix my problem. No, you butthole. Fix it yourself. Take some self-responsibility. Learn to control your emotions and stop looking for authority to fix your problem. And because of that, this is why we're coming into a total totalitarian technocracy dictatorship like the people of China have to go through right now, where if they criticize the government, they can no longer take private airplane flights. They could no longer get on the train. They could no longer send their kids into a good school. They could no longer have high-speed internet. They could no longer get a good job, all because they dared to criticize the authority that they live under, the thumb, the boot that is literally squashing any form of human dignity and existence and life out of them. The human spirit is a spirit born on freedom. Whenever we have freedom, we have prosperity. Whenever we have government, whenever we have control, whenever we have central powers and buttholes thinking that they own you, we have digression. We don't have progress. We have absolute crap. And I'm sick of this crap. We deserve better. And it starts with less government. That's my take on it. That's what I personally believe. I think we should end the show on that. I think we still got 2 more super chats. And if you disagree, Jason, I know you disagree on some aspects of it because I'm kind of an absolutist on this. You could, debate me or disagree or make your points if you want.
It's Christmas. It's Christmas. Yeah, you did a good job. Now, listen, man, like I said, most of that I would totally agree with. And these last 2 super chats are Merry Christmas super chats. Anyway, Jesse Schmidt chiming in again. Thank you so much for everything, my man. Jason sure is excited for the government shutdown, embracing the anarchist Christmas. It's a Christmas miracle. I don't know if I'm embracing any anarchism, but hey, I'll give you what you want. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas, Luke and the WeAreChange family, working to be self-sufficient. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for the calls. Thank you for the support. I'm hoping that we're going to do a big wrap-up telethon show before the end of the year, Luke, because there are some big stories to go over.
Oh, there's a lot of stories to go over. That's going to be on the 30th. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it on the 30th. We're going to be here next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So stay tuned. Click the notification button. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be live here. It's already a very exciting end of this year. Let's keep this trajectory going. I mean, we've been kicking butt this month. The stars are the limits. Not even the stars. Screw the stars. The galaxies, the universe, the vibrational frequencies, energies. We're going after all of it. We're going to kick some major butt in 2019. I'm excited. This year's ending in an incredible way. For me personally, in my own life, for this news organization, we were struggling this year. Like, people don't know. Like, me and Jason were like, oh my God, we're going broke. Like, we're not going to be able to do this. We're seeing all of our friends literally drop out. We're seeing all of our people who do the same thing we do being like, yeah, we can't do this anymore, firing their entire staff, canceling their entire operations. We had a very good December. Thank you so much for that. I think we're still at a total loss this year, but we're doing a lot better than we did before. And with this trajectory that we're on, nothing is impossible. We're going to keep going in there. Jason, I want to thank you for being a part of this, even through the hard times. It's been a lot of hard times this year. We're ending it on a very good note. We're going to talk about that plus a lot more next Sunday on December 30th. 7 p.m. Eastern. So, of course, stay tuned for a lot more. I love you guys for your super chats, your support. Without them, we wouldn't be here. So, thank you so much.